Hello, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. Today we're going to continue reading our lesson, God Sees the Truth but Waits. Our objectives for this part of the lesson are to identify characters' emotions and to identify types of irony portrayed in the story. Since one of our objectives is to identify the types of irony in the story God Sees the Truth but Waits, then let's recall the different types of irony. It's important to remember that irony is basically when a person says something which is completely opposite to what they mean or what the reality of the situation is. There are three types of irony: situational irony, dramatic irony, and verbal irony. When we talk about situational irony, this is when the opposite of what you expect to occur happens. So, an unexpected twist. For example, a fire station burns down, or a pilot has a fear of heights. Dramatic irony, when the audience knows something that the characters do not. This happens a lot in movies. For example, in the movie Home Alone, we know that Kevin has planted traps everywhere, but the thieves don't know that. Verbal irony, when you say one thing but mean the opposite. Another term for verbal irony is sarcasm. So, for example, you step out and it's raining and it's very gloomy. So you say, "What a beautiful weather we are having today." So you obviously don't mean that the weather is beautiful. You're probably annoyed and you're not happy about the weather. Let's recall some important events that took place or that we have read about in the previous sections. Aksionov lived with his wife and children. He decided to make a trip to the fair. His wife tried to stop him because she had a bad dream. The local police officer arrested and charged him with murder. A petition of mercy was turned down and he felt devastated. He was sent to work in the mines of Siberia. He grew old there. Aksionov frequently prayed to God. He bought the book The Lives of the Saints in prison. God Sees the Truth but Waits by Leo Tolstoy, Part 3. Let's take a look at the vocabulary terms that you will encounter in this section. Lad, a boy or young man. Rumor, a story or piece of news that might be true or invented and quickly spreads from person to another. Villain, a wicked or very bad person. Longed, had a strong wish or desire. Vengeance, revenge. Fortnight, a period of 2 weeks.
One day, a fresh gang of convicts came to the prison. In the evening, the old prisoners collected round the new ones and asked them what towns or villages they came from and what they were sentenced for. Among the rest, Aksionov sat down near the newcomers and listened with downcast air to what was said. One of the new convicts, a tall, strong man of 60, with a closely cropped gray beard, was telling the others what he had been arrested for. "Well, friends," he said, "I only took a horse that was tied to a sledge, and I was arrested and accused of stealing. I said I had only taken it to get home quicker, and had then let it go. Besides, the driver was a personal friend of mine. So I said, 'It is all right.' 'No,' they said, 'you stole it.' But how or where I stole it they could not say. I once really did something wrong, and ought by rights to have come here long ago. But that time I was not found out. Now I have been sent here for nothing at all. But it's lies I'm telling you. I've been to Siberia before, but I did not stay long." "Where are you from?" asked someone. "From Vladimir. My family are of that town. My name is Makar, and they also call me Semyonich."
So, over here, we meet a new character named Makar Semyonich. This guy has been accused of stealing. However, he says that one time he did something wrong and nobody found out that time, but now he is here for something that he believes it's not such a big deal. He says that he did not really steal the horse, he borrowed it from his friend. Who do you think is Makar Semyonich? Let's continue reading to find out.
Aksionov raised his head and said, "Tell me, Semyonich, do you know anything of the merchants Aksionov of Vladimir? Are they still alive?" "Know them? Of course I do. The Aksionovs are rich, though their father is in Siberia, a sinner like ourselves, it seems. As for you, Granddad, how did you come here?"
So Semyonich knows Ivan Dmitrich and his family, the Aksionovs. He tells him that they're rich. So Aksionov's kids have become very rich. And Semyonich also knows that their father, who is Ivan Dmitrich Aksionov, is in Siberia and he has committed a sin, maybe a murder or anything like that, and he doesn't recognize him though. Isn't that interesting?
Aksionov did not like to speak of his misfortune. He only sighed and said, "For my sins I have been in prison these 26 years." "What sins?" asked Makar Semyonich. But Aksionov only said, Well, I must have deserved it." He would have said no more, but his companions told the newcomers how Aksionov came to be in Siberia, how someone had killed a merchant and had put the knife among Aksionov's things, and Aksionov had been unjustly condemned. When Makar Semyonich heard this, he looked at Aksionov, slapped his own knee, and exclaimed, "Well, this is wonderful, really wonderful. But how old you've grown, Grandad."
So it seems that Makar Semyonich knows Aksionov and he has seen him before. He seems to be surprised. Why? Let's continue to find out.
The others asked him why he was so surprised, and where he had seen Aksionov before. But Makar Semyonich did not reply. He only said, "It's wonderful that we should meet here, lads." These words made Aksionov wonder whether this man knew who had killed the merchant. So he said, "Perhaps, Semyonich, you have heard of that affair, or maybe you've seen me before?" "How could I help hearing? The world's full of rumors. But it's a long time ago and I've forgotten what I heard."
So Aksionov seems to be interested. He wants to know where this guy has seen him before. And he wants to know what he knows about the incident that took place. However, Makar Semyonich says that people say a lot of stories, people make up stories. The world is basically full of rumors. But it's a long time ago, so it seems like he's trying to avoid the topic. We don't know why.
Perhaps you heard who killed the merchant? Asked Aksionov. Makar Semyonich laughed and replied, It must have been him in whose bag the knife was found. If someone else hid the knife there, he's not a thief till he's caught, as the saying is. How could anyone put a knife in your bag while it was under your head? It would surely have woke you up.
Okay, so it seems that Makar Semyonich knows a lot of details about the story. Isn't that interesting? Let's continue reading to find out what's going to happen.
When Aksionov heard these words, he felt sure that this was the man who had killed the merchant. He rose and went away. All that night Aksionov lay awake. He felt terribly unhappy, and all sorts of images rose in his mind. There was the image of his wife as she was when he parted from her to go to the fair. He saw her as if she were present. Her face and her eyes rose before him. He heard her speak and laugh. Then he saw his children, quite little, as they were at that time, one with a little cloak on, another at his mother's breast. And then he remembered himself as he used to be, young and merry. He remembered how he sat playing the guitar in the porch of the inn where he was arrested, and how free from care he had been. He saw in his mind the place where he was flogged, the executioner, and the people standing around, the chains, the convicts, all the 26 years of his prison life and his premature old age. The thought of it all made him so wretched that he was ready to kill himself.
So finally, Aksionov finds out that Makar Semyonich is the man who had killed the merchant. So this is the guy who committed the crime that Aksionov had been falsely accused of. Aksionov couldn't sleep. He lay awake. He felt terribly unhappy. And then he remembered everything that had happened to him. He remembered his wife when he left her and went to the fair. He remembered his children and how little they were. He remembered his own life. He remembered how he used to be so young, happy, and free. He remembered himself playing the guitar in the porch of the inn. And then he remembered when he was arrested. He remembered the place where he was flogged. He remembered the convicts, all the 26 years of his prison life. We can say that all his life flashed before his eyes. Thinking about all this made him so unhappy that he was just ready to kill himself. This right here is the climax in the story. This is the most exciting part in the story because this is what we've been waiting for. So, how ironic is that? That after 26 years in prison, Aksionov and the real killer are both in the same place, in the same prison.
And it's all that villain's doing, thought Aksionov, and his anger was so great against Makar Semyonich that he longed for vengeance, even if he himself should perish for it. He kept repeating prayers all night, but could get no peace. During the day he did not go near Makar Semyonich, nor even look at him. A fortnight passed in this way. Aksionov could not sleep at night, and was so miserable that he did not know what to do.
So, obviously, Aksionov felt so angry. He really wanted to get revenge, even if he was going to die for it. However, notice how he didn't do anything. He didn't even go near Makar Semyonich, nor did he even look at him. He just kept repeating prayers. Aksionov is a very religious person, and obviously he wouldn't do anything. So 2 weeks passed in this way. He couldn't sleep. He just felt so depressed and he did not know what to do. So, how do you think the story is going to end? Next time, we will continue reading the last part of the story.
Finally, questions. Describe how Aksionov felt when he found out that Makar was the real murderer or killer for the crime he was accused of. Justify with evidence from the story. As you see, this question is made up of two parts. In the first part, you have to describe how Aksionov felt when he knew that Makar was the real killer for the crime he was accused of. In the second part, you have to prove that your answer is right by picking out evidence from the story. Next, what type of irony can you find in the following parts of the short story? God sees the truth but waits. And explain. First part, paragraphs 45 and 46. So here you have to find out the type of irony and explain it. Also, paragraphs 51, 52, and 53. What's the type of irony in this part? And you have to explain. Good work.